Niners win this game 30-24. Let's take a look at the top 5 graded players for the San Francisco 49ers. Cornerback Renardo Green with a 91.3 overall grade in this one. Tight end George Kittle, as mentioned, National Tight End Day yesterday, 90.2. He had to get an elite grade on National Tight End Day. It's tradition at this point. Safety Jair Brown with an 86.4, wide receiver Deebo Samuel a 78.2, and then cornerback Diamador Lenore with a 76.6. Quarterback Brock Purdy in this one with a 70.0. And then on Dallas' side of things, CeeDee Lamb, an elite 90.3 overall grade. Defensive tackle Osa Odigizua with a 78.7. Center Cooper Beebe with a 77.3. Offensive tackle Tyler Guyton with a 73.7. Wide receiver Jalen Tolbert a 70.4. And then Dak Prescott had a 62.1 overall grade in this one. Dalton, stat that told the story. What do we got?
I'll be honest, this was probably the least surprising game maybe of the entire day yesterday. My stat is kind of same old Cowboys. The rushing difference in this game was 223 for the Niners to 56 for Dallas. The Cowboys are 7 games into this season, and their longest run of the year is 13 yards.
Should Cowboys fans get the Ashton Jeanty jerseys now, or should they wait to see what number he picks?
Yeah, that might be a good idea. Yeah,
or do you just go with the college number?
Is there anyone else on the Cowboys wearing number 2 right now? He might just take that. I think that's what he wears now.
I don't think anybody's wearing 2. I think he'd give him the green light.
Yeah, he could probably, if you wanted to get it custom made, it makes a lot of sense.
I guess the real question is just, do you do the home or the away one? Or maybe the Thanksgiving special jersey.
Oh, is that the blue one, the dark blue one?
It's the
hell, just get a Boise one at this point. Whatever, that might work. You can do it. You got the name on it. You got the NIL. You get the name on it anyway.
Okay.
But
all right.
Yeah, I'm certain next year if he came in, he would have a run longer than 13 yards. I would put pretty good money on that. And then you have this offense just with not enough balance. CeeDee Lamb at 146 yards, and the rest of the offense at 153. There's just not much there on offense. And then you talk about their defense, still last in the league in run defense grade. And the last 5 times they have played San Francisco, the Niners have averaged 165 rushing yards in those games. This is how it goes pretty much just every time they play the 49ers. And, Dak and CeeDee Lamb, as usual, they try to will the Cowboys to wins. You can't do it against good teams like this. It's just that's pretty much where this team is at right now. It's Dak and CeeDee trying to put the team on their back while the rest of it is incredibly flawed. And the 49ers, as we've learned for 4 or 5 years in a row, are about the worst matchup in the league for the Cowboys. And like you mentioned, this game was a lot more the margin could have easily been wider. They made a little push in the fourth quarter, but it's just not the Cowboys. It's the same. It's really the same thing every week. It just depends on who they're playing against and if that team has a good run game.
Yeah, it didn't feel close, right? It didn't feel like a 6-point game when you were watching that one and when the final score flashed up there. I agree with you. The most disappointing for me was indeed the Cowboys' offense overall, because we're now seeing, in my opinion, the manifestation of what was a gross oversight from this team of thinking that they were just going to go in this year with a couple of pieces along the offensive line. No Tyler Biadasz, no Tyron Smith. Didn't really make anything happen at the running back position. Stand pat at wide receiver. They basically just said, oh, okay, Dak was an MVP caliber quarterback last year. He's going to be the exact same thing this year. And for as much as I like Dak, it doesn't really work like that. If you want your quarterback to continue to play well, you have to evolve your offense. And if anything, they took away from that offense. And now every single week, to your point, it feels like we're going out there and we're just watching the Cowboys try to CeeDee Lamb themselves to a victory. And that's it. CeeDee Lamb, 40% threat percentage, which everybody out there, that's basically wide receiver usage. How often are you getting targeted per route that you are running, right? So 40% is incredibly high. Some of the best in the NFL, like the Justin Jeffersons, the Tyreek Hills, and of course CeeDee Lamb as well, their average for a year comes out to be like low 30s basically. So CeeDee Lamb in this game was at 40%. And when you just look at the fourth quarter, which is when we saw that run for the Cowboys, it goes almost to 50%. They have nothing without CeeDee Lamb. So, to me, I think that absolutely goes into it. The lack of run game is a big deal. Both Ezekiel Elliott and Dalvin Cook here in the year 2024, year of our Lord, they're not good enough. They are not efficient enough. They are not the players that they used to be. I think they're just there because their name. And the Cowboys, again, were just trying to go bargain bin shopping at running back and saying, oh, we could bring anybody in there. Well, you're not the 49ers. And on the other side of things, the stat that told the story to me is the San Francisco 49ers, because no Christian McCaffrey. Jordan Mason even went out of the game in this one. And Isaac Garando comes in and averages 6.1 yards per carry. That's just That's the 49ers. And I think the Cowboys believe that they are the Niners. And with no Tyron Smith, with no Tyler Biadasz, like, it's not the same offensive line. It's not this feared Dallas offensive line that it has been in years past. And instead, now you have running backs that don't really have juice because they're up there in age. They've got a lot of mileage on them. And it's just not, to me, that was truly the stat that told the story. The Cowboys think they're the Niners' run game. And the Niners actually are. And that's how they control this game from start to finish.
Yeah, no, they have one legitimate weapon. That's where we're at. And one legitimate weapon in an offense that doesn't throw a whole lot of complicated stuff at you, even though Dak could probably handle it. So, no, I mean, I think it's the same Cowboys team we've seen for 7 games, and we're just going to continue to see it. Whether they get to maybe squeaking in at 9-8, maybe in a wild card spot if the NFC allows that, then cool. But I don't think we're going to see much different moving forward from Dallas. It just looks like the same team every week.
Most impressive. What do we got?
Trevor, in case you didn't hear, between 2 and 3 million times yesterday, it was National Tight End Day. But George Kittle lived up to it because George Kittle, with Travis Kelce kind of off to a slow start, and even though Brock Bowers is coming on strong in the rookie year, George Kittle right now is best tight end in football. And you're talking about 6 catches for 128 yards, a touchdown, a 91.3 receiving grade, and 4 of those 6 catches on the exact same crossing route. I guess the Cowboys just didn't expect them to keep running it over and over and for Kittle to keep making big plays, but he proves over and over. I mean, Brandon Ayuk out, Debo kind of had a weird couple of weeks here, all the injuries to the Niners offense, but George Kittle just shows up every week. He's just an incredible football player.
Didn't George Kittle start National Tight End Day? Wasn't that a him thing? Was it him, Travis Kelce, maybe? I felt like it was a George Kittle thing.
Oh, is he the one who invented it? Is that why he just tees off on somebody every year during it?
I think so.
Okay.
I think he just,
now
becomes
it makes
superhuman,
more sense.
Yeah. Maybe it's a little egotistical.
He's superhuman anyway, honestly. It's just nuts how
I'm kidding. George Kittle is awesome.
Yeah.
Most impressive for me, I'm going to talk about rookie cornerback Renardo Green, who is number 1 on the list for our top 5 with the San Francisco 49ers. I didn't know a lot about Renardo Green going into draft season last year, and I got to see him in person at the East-West Shrine Bowl, and I was extremely impressed with how he was able to play man coverage against these guys. Because you go to these events, you go to the East-West Shrine Bowl, the Hula Bowl, the Senior Bowl, all that, and it's tough to play. Defense is so chemistry-based, especially zone coverage, that it's tough to really run a lot of complex zone coverages the way that you would want. So a lot of times, these coaches, especially in practice, they play cat coverage, if you will. I got that cat, you got that cat, and it's just man coverage. That's what they play. And Renardo Green was very much up to the challenge because that's exactly what he played when he was at Florida State. He played very, very, very well that weekend, really got on my radar. And this year, well, actually, when you're looking at just this game specifically, 94.6 coverage grade on 8 single coverage snaps. And then this season total, 93.8 single coverage grade, which is the second best in the NFL. He's only given up 8 total yards in single coverage this season. It's incredibly impressive, especially for a position that is really difficult to stand out as a rookie. So, really impressed by Renardo Green. Love that he's getting into the lineup. Love that he's getting playing time because he's playing fantastic.
Yeah, and honestly, I thought, I watch a lot of college football. I thought last year the 2 best secondaries in the country were Alabama and Florida State. And there was a lot of big-name corners in this draft, and Green might have been the most underrated guy out of any of them. And you watch him play at Florida State in all the press man coverage that they did play, really high-rated cover 1 because they had a bunch of talented guys. We'll get to another one a little bit later, too. Again, his teammate down there. There's been, those Florida State guys, it feels like all of them are great. They got drafted. It's incredible, isn't it? But
honestly, Florida State shouldn't be 1-7, right? They should not be 1-6, 1-7. I can't remember.
But you look at the amount of talent they lost.
Right. You lose Renardo Green. You lose Jerry and Jones, who, like you said, we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. You lose Jared Verse. You lose Braden Fisk. You lost a lot of players, especially on that defense side.
Yeah, and Green's just fit in. He's fit like a glove in San Francisco. And I was a little worried about the scheme fit, but he allows him to play man coverage. It's terrific, the start he's off to in his career.
San Francisco does. For as much as the scheme fit overall in San Francisco was a little bit of okay, how is Green going to fit in there? I do think San Francisco is really good at recognizing what guys are good at.
They've mixed it up a little bit more.
Right? Malik Mustafa's the same way, right? Mustafa gets in there. Jair Brown, I would say, is the same way from Penn State. It's okay, I had some worries about these guys just in the NFL overall. But San Francisco goes, okay, well, when you are on the field, we're sort of going to cater, what we do to help you succeed. And obviously that's what good defensive coordinators do, right? They don't want to stick a player out there who's going to be, the reason why the defense doesn't work or the reason why the chemistry and the cohesiveness isn't there. Best defensive coordinators are able to do that. And clearly San Francisco is doing that with Renardo Green.